Yeah, man. Welcome to another episode of the Be Limitless Today podcast. I am your host, Jarvis Cobb, and we are continuing our series on root work. And for those that don't know, root work is a practice of accountability and ownership, starting with creating change within yourself. So over the past couple of years, I didn't do any content online, but every day I will listen to a motivational talk. I will listen to a spiritual video, a sermon. And if I were to get a quote or a saying or just a line that sparked thought within me, I wrote it down on a sticky note. And during the series, I've been picking 5 sticky notes at random, talking about what I might have been going through in my life at that time, what that quote on the paper means to me, or some practices I might have implemented into my life to create that change. So with that, let's get started. Judge no thing before its appointed time. In parentheses, I put that isolation might feel bad now, but God is working on something for you. Judge no thing before its appointed time. So this is talking about not judging your situation before you live it out fully. You know, not judging a certain scenario before you actually see why that scenario happened, before you get the purpose of that scenario. And of course, what pops in my mind is I've gotten laid off before the 2 biggest events in my life. I got laid off 5 months before my destination wedding was set to take place. And then a second time I got laid off 2 months before my son was born. Now, judging those situations right away, I was upset. I was down. I didn't understand why. Why me? Why was I chosen in that? You know, why now? I've been working at these places for years, and all of a sudden now, when I got these big events happening in my life, y'all taking my financial, staple and my earnings away from me. Why? Why? But in both situations, as I let it play out, as I didn't hark on it, didn't just, fall too deep into it, didn't get too upset and too depressed about it. In both of those situations, it turned out for the better. I got a better paying job and with more consistency with work. The first time I got laid off, the second time I got laid off, I almost doubled my salary by the end of that same year. I would never have gotten that raise at that place. I worked at that place for 4 years and never got a raise. Don't judge a thing before it's appointed time. If something happened in your day, you are late for work, or you wake up and your alarm clock, you slept through your alarm. You never know. Sleeping through that alarm might have set you up to run into somebody to spark a conversation, and now you set up a lunch meeting with that person, and that turned into a business deal. And that all started because you slept through your alarm that one day. You never know. You meet somebody and it just don't click right away. Y'all butt heads, y'all go y'all separate ways, but that might be the person you actually end up falling in love with. Don't judge anything before it's appointed time. Everything's not going to happen on the timeline that we want it to happen, and it's not going to happen in the way that we want it to happen. But trust that God has a plan. God is working things through for you, and you just have to see it through. Don't stop halfway through. That's what Steve Harvey always talked about, was don't stop halfway through the valley. Keep going through. Get to the end. You're already going through all the pain. You already got the suffering. In my situation, what the parentheses I wrote was the isolation. I felt like I was alone. I didn't have close relationships with friends. I didn't have close relationships with family. And I was just in a point to where I just felt really isolated. I just gotta let God work through it. Gotta let God work his plan, whatever the plan may be. And I'm still in it. It's not all the way out. I'm still working through that. But I'm being open. I'm accepting, understanding as I'm going through. And I'm not trying to control or dictate or change something that may not need to be changed right now. Hopefully that helps some of y'all. Let's go number 2. God is most strategic when I am most surprised. Surprise me, God, with the good and the things I didn't even ask for. So this kind of goes back to what we were just talking about with not having to know everything, not needing to know what's going to happen next, not needing to know the outcome of certain situations you might be currently in. It's one of those to where God likes to surprise you. He wants to see you have faith enough to make a move. You will have faith to ask for a raise, but then he'll sprinkle in a promotion. You know what I mean? You'll have faith to go after a certain talent or go after a certain thing, and he'll just sprinkle in a new relationship that can turn into somebody mentoring you in that situation and bring you along. You will have faith to just say, hey, God, I just want to start a podcast. I just want to get on. I just want to talk to the people. I just want to bless the people. And he'll sprinkle in. Now it's a network calling you to be a host. Now you're getting calls, you're getting messages to come and speak to the kids and come and speak to our sports team. God likes to surprise you. God likes to give you things that you didn't ask for. And most of the time, it's the things that you didn't even have faith enough to ask for. You may not have think that was possible right now. I know I get stuck with that a lot. I have big dreams. I have big visions. I know my life is going to be extremely impactful for millions of people around the world. But what if it's billions? What if God decides that your message that I send through you is going to reach billions of people, not millions? Who knows, man? And that's the exciting part. That really is the exciting part, is you never know what could happen, but it's up to you to have faith enough to get started, have faith enough to take a step, have faith enough to move on the ideas that you have, regardless of what people around you think, regardless of what limitations you might have of yourself. Make a move towards it and let God surprise you a little bit. Let's go to number 3. God is looking for ways to love me. Will I let him in? He's looking for ways to use me, encourage me, strengthen me, build me up. And it's not always the way I tell him he should. God is looking for ways to use me. This one, to me, took me to the position of where I sometimes fight against my gifts. I have a gift of speaking, obviously, and I have a gift of motivating. But at times in my head, I have the thought, man, I don't even like to talk. Like, I'd rather not get in front of people and talk. It's not a fear of mine, but it's more so I like to listen. I like to hear what's going on. I like to add in my 2 cents here and there. But the whole getting in front of people, having a whole thing and giving a spiel, and I don't necessarily have to have that. If I didn't do that in my life wouldn't feel like it was lacking. I'm much better one-on-one, texting, talking with somebody, working through a goal, doing stuff like that. But even my wife, when I got the first gig I did and got paid to do, it was an hour talk or a 45-minute talk. It was over Zoom, but my wife heard me do it, and she's been in front of people for years, working through Matrix, working through that product line. She's been on stage talking in front of artists and talking in front of other hairstylists. And she said, most people just can't get in front of a camera or get in front of people and just do this, man. Like, this is you skipping levels by some of the gifts that you already have. You definitely need to tighten some stuff up, but the fact that you're able to get up, have a set thing, work through that set thing, and not stop or pause or get stuck, that's a gift I have. But sometimes in my mind, I fight against it. So this is telling me to be open to how God want to use me in whatever capacity it might be. If it's talking to the kids, if it's talking to adults, if it's talking at work, if it's talking online, if it's just talking, allow God to use me and just be a vessel for him. And while he's doing that, he's going to build me and strengthen me and encourage me and get me to the levels in my mind that I think I can get to. Using him as a resource, I can get to those big dreams and big ideas and the big things that I have in my mind. But I just got to allow him to use me. Have you allowed God to use you? Have you allowed God to use you in the gifts that he's given you? Or have you been running from your gifts? Are you a good cook, but then you fight against working at a restaurant? You fight against working in the kitchen somewhere? Are you a barber, but you just don't want to be in somebody else's salon and be in somebody else's barbershop renting a chair? You just want to do your own thing, but you haven't made a move towards getting your own place yet. What can you do? What gifts do you have, and how is God prompting you to use those gifts? And if you're getting a prompt and you're just fighting against it, understand that that can be your own insecurities. That can be you not seeing the potential in it. That can be you not giving into the power that God is trying to work through you and use you for. Be open to it. You never know how it's going to change your life. You never know the places that it's going to take you, but give it the opportunity to work. And if things aren't working the way you've been doing them, try something else. I got that from Eric Thomas. If it's not working the way you've been doing it, don't just keep doing it harder that way. Try something else. So try letting God in, try letting God work through you, and just see what happens. Number 4, go on. Oh, this is a recent one. When never meets now, you're going to be so glad you didn't quit. Your investments were not a waste. This is a recent sermon that I watched of Stephen Furtick when he talked about when never meets now. So his example was people saying, oh, I never get the big break. I never get that deal, or that never happens for me, or I'm never gonna get over the hump. I'm never gonna be able to speak in front of people, or I'm never gonna get over this person. I'm never gonna get this job that I want. But then God is always looking at the now. God is always working in the now and working the now to build you towards your future. So it's all this time you've been saying never, it is never, it's not mine, I'll never be able to. And then God just makes the decision that now is the time that you can walk into it. Now is the time that you can go. Now is the time that you can make the moves. And the part about the investments is all this time you've still been working. You've still been building your courage and building things within yourself. You've still been building your life towards these big things. You've still been building your life towards that happiness or towards that joy that you want or towards that blissful relationship that you want. And now all of the things you've invested are going to come to fruition. All the stuff that you put in, all the work that you put in, all the work you've been putting in with yourself, all the work that you've been doing to change how you think and change how you act and change how you speak, all of those investments do not go to waste. When God decides that now is the time, everything that you've been building up now can come in and impact the way it's supposed to impact. And you have the leverage and you have the power to work in the power that you have because you've made those investments. So just know the work that you're doing on yourself right now is vital. It's extremely important and it's not a waste. You are doing the right things. You are making the right moves. Don't let up. And you are going to be so glad that you didn't quit. Because one day that one day is just going to be there. You're going to find yourself in the scenario, in the position, in the place that you've been wanting to be for so long. So keep doing the little things. Keep doing the everyday things that you're doing. Keep being consistent with building and changing and growing. One day it's gonna come. Those investments don't go to waste. So your never is gonna become your now really soon. Number 5, let's finish it off. You can have your breakthrough or you can have your blame, but you can't have both. You can't have faith and blame others. You can have your breakthrough or you can have your blame. Where is your focus? That's what this told me, is asking me, where is my focus? When I want a blissful relationship, am I working towards the breakthrough of getting to that other side, having better communication, being more open, talking about my emotions more so we can be on the table and we can address things properly? Or will I stay stuck in this mode of blaming? Oh, it's because she doing that. That's why. It's because she's saying that. That's why. Oh, she not doing this for me. That's why. That's why it's not going the way it's going. Start with creating change within yourself. The only thing you can control is yourself. So if you working towards something, if you working towards a breakthrough, work on you. Work on building you to that point. What do you want to look like in that breakthrough? And I saw something today that kind of blew my mind up a little bit. It was Mustafa was his name. They call him Moose. He's on Eric Thomas' team, but he talked about you seeing that future self, that idea that you keep having of how you're going to be in the future, or how your life is going to look and the things that you're going to be doing. Start acting like that right now. Whatever you think that future self would do, how they would make decisions, start making decisions like that now. How they will control their emotions, start controlling your emotions like that now. Live in that now. However you picture that future person, if it's in a relationship, if it's at work, if it's in your fitness, if it's in any journey that you might have, and you thinking that there's going to be this powerful version of you that's big when they walk into the room, that just fills up a space, that just brings life and has the ability to do all of these big things. Start thinking of how that person would do and how that person would talk and how that person would act, and start doing that now. And you can do the same in this scenario. You can have your breakthrough or you can have your blame. You can do the work to get to the place that you want to get to, or you can continue to blame your surroundings, blame your upbringing, blame your current situation, blame what you don't have, blame the relationships you don't have, blame the skills or the talents you haven't acquired yet. You can either do that, or you can start figuring out, what can I do? What can I change? What's the next step? What's one thing I can do this week? How can I build on these things? You can either have your breakthrough or you can have your blame, but you can't have both. You can't have faith in something and say, I believe it's going to happen, but then constantly blaming everything else around you that is not happening for you. Put your money where your mouth is, or put your actions where your mind is. You can't have both, man. I hope that helps somebody. I hope somebody take a second to think about it. Take a second to look back over your recent month. How have you been acting? What have you been saying? What's been coming out of your mouth? Have you been blaming others? Have you been blaming your boss? Have you been blaming your circumstances? Have you been blaming your lack of skill or lack of talent? And if so, just change it today. That's the good part, is you don't have to ask anybody. You don't have to wait. You don't have to get permission. Change it today. Start thinking like that future person would think. Start acting how that person would act, the one that has gotten to the goals that you want to get to. How would they act? What would they do? How would they train? What would they study? How much time would they spend on themselves and their health? How would they talk to their spouse? What would they do on a daily basis? Would they send a couple extra texts? Would they set up a date night every 2 weeks? Would they buy a couple games and have them at the house ready to play for the spouse when they got home? Will they be more joyful on a day-to-day? Just start doing it and then see how your life changes. See how your perspective changes. See how your actions could affect the surroundings that's and your circumstances around you. Start with making change within yourself. That's what this whole series about. We're not blaming nobody for nothing. We ain't looking at nobody to change it for us. We are taking accountability and ownership and starting with creating change within our own self. And I'm gonna just end it there, man. I hope I got something out of this episode. I appreciate you guys. I'm actually going on vacation tomorrow, but I'm being consistent with this. So even though it is 2:53 in the morning and we supposed to be on the road at 8 a.m., I said I need to get this done. I need to be consistent. My future self, that person that's making it happen and building and growing and got the brand at a high level would do what it takes, even if it's almost 3 in the morning, to make sure what needs to get out gets out. So I appreciate y'all rocking with the boy. I love y'all. You know, we always say negative news is freely given. Positive news must be searched for. And if you can't find it, then you create it. So go and create you some positive news this week. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.